Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm going to be reacting to Twitter's NBA hot takes. We're in for a treat because Twitter is all over the place. NBA Twitter is crazy. The setup looks a little bit different, more clear, better face cam. It's because I'm actually using my phone because, hey, I want to try something new, and as long as it looks alright, that's all that matters. I'm here on my phone, which I have to turn in a couple days because I got a new one. It allows me basically to look at the tweets, and I'm also going to be putting it up on the screen for you guys so you can look at it. Let's hop right into this. First up, we have Zach LaVine is an MVP candidate for next season. These are all for next season, by the way. I'm gonna have to disagree because yes, the Chicago Bulls on paper got better, adding Lonzo Ball, adding DeMar DeRozan, and already having Nikola Vucevic, who he played with last season, and we didn't really get too many glimpses of the two playing together. I think Zach LaVine, as much of a scorer that he is, I think he's going to take a slight decrease in scoring this year. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan, I don't think he's going to be forcing as many shots up. He's not going to be the number one option like he was in San Antonio these past couple years. I just don't see a scenario where the Bulls are a good enough team and Zach LaVine's putting up great enough numbers to really get the MVP nods over guys like LeBron, Luka, Giannis again, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. I just don't see a scenario where it happens. I do think Zach LaVine's going to be another All-Star again. I think he's going to be another All-NBA caliber player, but I just don't think MVP is really that echelon that Zach LaVine's on. Potentially, if he was the number one, he will be the number one option, but if he was the only guy on that team and the Bulls were a competent team where they would still make the playoffs as a certain higher seed, then I could see happening, but as of right now, I don't think Zach LaVine is an MVP candidate. The Miami Heat will make the NBA Finals. It's tough. The East is going to be good next year. Obviously, Milwaukee's going to be running it back. Brooklyn is getting better, which is crazy. That big three, if they're healthy, I think they're the immediate contenders out east, and I think they're the favorites to win the Eastern Conference next year. But the Heat got better, adding Kyle Lowry to that team, signing Jimmy Butler to the max extension, bringing back Bam Adebayo once again. Tyler Hero is going to be there, Duncan Robinson. I think they have a very nice core group of guys in Miami. I think they're going to have a great energy on that team. Victor Oladipo is going to be back. But I think the finals is going to be tough for them. They're going to have to get through Philly. Now, we don't know if Ben Simmons is going to be on that team or not. I'm recording this as of August 18th, 2021. Ben Simmons, in a couple months, he might be traded. He may not be. I'll get into that further down the line. Maybe not today, but another video possibly on trade scenarios where I think Ben Simmons could go if he does go. And maybe just players around the league like Bradley Beal, Pascal Siakam, whatever. But right now, I don't think the Heat are necessarily a finals contending team. I think they are a great playoff team. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if they do make the playoff or if they do make the NBA Finals. But I think as of right now, they are locked for maybe that 4 to 6 spot out east. But I won't be surprised if they jump. Do not be surprised the Miami Heat are good next season. OG Anunoby wins Most Improved Player, averaging 22 and 7. Now, personally, I do think OG Anunoby is going to take a bit of a jump this year. It's also a question whether or not he's going to be starting this year because obviously drafting Scotty Barnes, who's the guy who's going to be playing that wing position. Pascal Siakam, if he stays, he did say he want to stay in Toronto. So if he stays, then I don't see a scenario where all three of those guys are necessarily going to be starting because you have two very good starting caliber players in OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and then Scotty Barnes. Chris Boucher is most likely going to be coming off the bench again. So unless they run a lineup, I mean, they could technically run OG Anunoby at the 2, I guess, but I think he's 6'8". I don't see a situation where they do that. Scotty Barnes at the 2, maybe run Scotty Barnes at the point guard. You could technically have Fred VanVleet as the starting 2, but I think Fred VanVleet's going to get the starting position. Either way, 22 points is beyond what OG Anunoby is going to be putting up this next season. I do not see that being a very realistic scenario at all. I think OG Anunoby is more of like a 14-ish point per game type of guy with 5 to 6 rebounds a game. He could get 7 rebounds a game, don't get me wrong, but I think 22 points a game is definitely a reach for a guy like OG Anunoby. Speaking of the Toronto Raptors, Chris Boucher will make an all-star game. Same with Lou Dort. I disagree with both of them. I think Lou Dort, for OKC's stance, is going to be possibly the second option behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think they really want to see that improvement on the offensive side once again, just up that efficiency. I think they're also going to run a lot of plays through like guys like Josh Giddey, Darius Bazley, Pokashevsky, get the younger guys involved. But I just don't see a scenario where a guy like Lou Dort's going to get the recognition and he's going to really have the numbers to be considered an all-star caliber player. The only times we really see 2 all-stars on the same team is like last year where you got a playoff team and there's 2 pretty much superstars or really good players like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. The only reason they made the playoffs because they're both putting up like high 20s, mid 20s, and their team was winning last year. I know both those guys made it, even though their team wasn't doing so well. But that's besides the point. OKC's going to be god-awful next year, so I don't think a guy like Lou Dort's going to make it. Same with Chris Boucher. I just don't think he's going to get enough touches. He might be like a 9-9 type guy next season for Toronto. I think the only guy on OKC that has a good chance of making it is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I think he will make the All-Star team next year. If he doesn't, I'm going to be very disappointed. Player outside the top 10 will win Rookie of the Year. I disagree, once again, because you have to look at it like this. In order for a guy to win Rookie of the Year, they need to be pretty much the number 1 or number 2 option on that team. And the best player, in my opinion, that is outside the top 10 is James Bouknight. And Bouknight on Charlotte is not the number 1 option. Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball are your 1 and 2. And Bouknight's going to be coming off the bench. And I don't think they're going to give us a Rookie of the Year award to a guy like Bouknight, who might be putting up 15 points per game off the bench. But I think Bouknight's the best scenario for a guy outside the top 10 to win the Rookie of the Year. There's other guys like I'm trying to think of other guys that I really think have a okay chance potentially of winning Rookie of the Year outside the top 10. I don't see a great scenario of a guy that's going to be taking a huge leap. I mean, Joshua Primo has a chance to be a really good guy, being a high 1, 2, 3 option on the young Spurs team. DeJounte Murray, and we'll see what they do with Derek White. I think Derek White low-key might get traded this offseason. So I think DeJounte Murray is going to be that number 1 guy. And they might just give the keys to Josh Primo right away. Just say, go to work, young fella. You're going to be getting 30 minutes a game, and I just want to see what you can do. So Josh Primo has a chance possibly, but I don't see a scenario where a guy like Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, or Jalen Green wins Rookie of the Year. Josh Giddey might win it. No, I'm just playing. I don't think he will, just because he doesn't have the amazing offensive skills in the NBA. But I'm not too worried about that. James Wiseman will take a big leap and become a top 12 player in the NBA. Now, I could see it definitely happen, especially playing with guys like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green for 82 games this season. I could see it happening. Now, you have to compare to the other 11 guys that are going to be ahead of him, or whose spot is he going to be taking? Because you already know it's going to be Joel Embiid, DeAndre Ayton, Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns. I think Valanciunas is going to be in there. You're going to have guys like Bam Adebayo. You're going to have a lot of great big men in the league, and I think there's going to be a lot of people, especially fighting for those positions outside of like the consensus top 8 guys, whatever there is. But I think James Wiseman could definitely take a big leap. Top 12 is a bit of a reach. I think he could definitely be a good starting caliber guy. I think a lot of people are already starting to give the kid hate, even though he's 20 years old. He played just a handful of games last season before getting hurt. We didn't see him play on a professional stage at college necessarily. He played like 5 or 6 games, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how James Wiseman plays next year. I think the criticism that he gets for being in the NBA and being hurt and not performing to what everyone was hoping he would be Shaq is kind of disrespectful to him. And I think people are just being a bit lackluster in my opinion. But anyway, let's move on. Do I think James Wiseman is going to be a top 12 center in the league? I'm going to say no. I don't think he will. I think he'll take a big improvement next season coming off an injury. It's tough to say. I don't think he'll be top 12 though. Next up, Timberwolves go 82-0. I see it happening. I see no scenario where the Timberwolves lose a game. I think they're a very competent team. Yeah, Timberwolves are going 82-0. The Celtics will win the East. I don't think they're going to win the East. I think they're going to be a team that's fighting for a play-in position because obviously losing out on Kemba Walker hurts. It does hurt. And then moving him to another Eastern Conference rival in the New York Knicks. Losing out on Fournier. They did bring in Josh Richardson. Marcus Smart is back. But I don't love the fit of Marcus Smart, your starting point guard. They don't really have a guy that could just facilitate the floor. Peyton Pritchard, I think, is still going to be a great player in the league, great point guard, but I think he's still more of a scoring point guard than a facilitating point guard, and I know there's a lot of issues. He was the second leading assist guy in the Summer League, but at the same time, that's the Summer League. Summer League does not prove a single thing. So this is one thing I hate. People that judge players off their Summer League play, just stop. Don't even listen to them. Summer League does not matter. We saw what Ben Simmons did in the Summer League. We saw what Trae Young did in his first Summer League. He shot like 0 for 12 from the field. Now look at him. Don't just ignore all the Summer League bullcrap. It's just for developing young guys. If they don't look good, they don't look good. If they look phenomenal, who knows what can happen? Like, anyway, this is not a Summer League talk video. Celtics, I just don't like the fit at Marcus Smart being the point guard because they don't have a true facilitator on that team. Jason Tatum can pass, but he's not going to be like the number one guy passing. Jaylen Brown could pass, but is he really a guy that could get you 8 assists a game, really spread the floor and facilitate for you guys? I don't think so. The Nets' big three is going to be trouble. Philly's going to be trouble. Atlanta could be trouble. And Brooklyn's going to be trouble. Obviously, I think I just said them again. Philly. Yeah, I don't see a situation where Boston makes to the finals, yet alone being a top 5, 6, 7 seed out east. It's going to be tough. I think Boston still has a chance to be good. Obviously, you have 2 great young players, Jason Tatum. But I don't see it happening. The Nets-Lakers championship is not going to happen. It's going to be one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. I got to disagree. I think they're the favorites. I think both of those teams are going to be making the finals. I think they're just too good, too deep to not make it. And despite any injuries, I see them making it. Now, I think you could say it's going to be a what-if scenario if there's a guy injured. Like last year, Kyrie was hurt. James Harden was on one leg. It was just Kevin Durant, and they were still this close to making it. And I think with all those guys healthy, Blake Griffin, if he's healthy, your bench guys are healthy, like Javon Carter, Bruce Brown. I think if those guys are healthy, there's no doubt in my mind that they are not going to make the NBA Finals. The Lakers, on the other side, I think they have a great big three: Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook. They have a great bench. They got amazing surrounding pieces. It doesn't matter if they're old. They're still NBA players. They're still great NBA players. And yeah, the Lakers are going to be making out the West. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be making out the East. They're going to be doing it out. We're going to be seeing them on Christmas Day, which is going to be so much fun to watch. And we're going to be seeing those guys playing in July next season. And one of those teams will win it. Hopefully it's the Lakers, just because that guy right up there, I want him to get a ring. Let's move on to the next one. Keldon Johnson's winning the most improved player by a landslide. He'll be in the conversation, definitely being one of those young guys who's only played a couple seasons in the NBA. He's going to be one of the better options in the Spurs uniform next year. I think he's going to be in the conversation, but I still have to give it to either Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Michael Porter Jr. I think my pick right now is Michael Porter Jr. He is tied with the #1 overall odds for winning that award with Shai. But I think Michael Porter Jr., since Jamal Murray is hurt, he's going to be a huge guy on that team, and I think Jokic is going to spoon feed him some easy buckets. I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a near lock. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be putting up like 24, 7, and 6. He's going to be phenomenal next year. Up that efficiency. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a stud next season. But Keldon Johnson has a chance, but I don't think he's going to be winning it by a landslide. Next up, we have the Magic make the plan. I highly disagree. I think the Magic are not even going to be close to the play-in tournament. I think they might be one of the worst teams in the league. You have no veteran leadership besides Terrence Ross, who I think is going to be moved anyway. It's going to be a bunch of young guys playing for the first time together. They're not going to have a lot of chemistry. They're going to be very young, very inexperienced. They have great players. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the guys on that team are phenomenal. Like, I think Jonathan Isaac coming off an injury is going to be good. Markelle Fultz coming off an injury is going to be good. Rookie point guard in Jalen Suggs, he's great, but I don't think he's good enough to lead a team like that to the playoffs or the play-in his first year of the career. I just don't see it happening. Jason Tatum will win the scoring title. There's a chance he does. I just don't know if he's going to be a 30-point per game scorer. I think guys like Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell I could see taking a jump. I think Devin Booker's also going to be taking a jump. There's going to be guys like that I think are better scorers than Tatum. But I could see Tatum in that mix. So I don't disagree with this necessarily. Do I think he'll win it? I don't know, but yeah. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be winning it, but he'll be in the conversation. Next up, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an all-NBA type player. I disagree just because I think OKC's going to be a very mediocre team, and normally they do not give praise to the guys that put up amazing numbers on very subpar teams. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will put up the numbers to be an All-NBA caliber player, and I think you'll have way more efficient numbers compared to some of the guys that are going to make that team. But just based off team record, they're not going to give it to Shai because OKC is going to be a bottom of the league team. They're not going to be even close to the play-in bubble. We're not playing bubble, but the play-in tournament. So yeah, OKC, they're not going to be good next season. Wizards, on the other hand, will be a top 6 seed in the East. And this I agree with. I think the Wizards are going to be a very competent team next year. Bradley Beal leading the way. They're a very deep team. Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, these guys are great. KCP, Danny Avdija, Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, Daniel Gafford. They got talent over there. Davis Bertans, they have a very deep team. I like what they're doing. Now, top 6 is going to be interesting. I definitely do think they're going to be a playoff team. And top 6 is tough because I think at most they're going to be a 6 seed. I think that's their ceiling is a 6 seed. I think the 4 could be like a 10, 11 seed. But yeah, Washington's going to be good next year. Top 6 seed is a bit of a reach. But I'm going to agree with it. We're just going to say Washington's going to get the 6th seed just because, hey, I want to see Bradley Beal succeed. I really liked watching him last year with Russell Westbrook. I want to see what he could do once again on his own because Bradley Beal, he's always doing his own work, it seems like. Bucks will struggle next season and have a significant drop-off. I don't know why I read that reversed, but I don't agree. Bucks are going to be another very good NBA team next year. They're going to be on the top of the Eastern Conference standings behind probably Brooklyn. I think they'll be the second best team out East. They've been a very good team for the past few years. I wouldn't necessarily say they've struggled. They just haven't been very successful in the playoffs up until last season, obviously winning the NBA championship. Struggle and have a significant drop-off, I think, is different than saying like they're not going to win the championship because I don't think they're going to win the championship. But if you consider struggle and have a significant drop-off as like being like the 3 seed and losing in the semifinals or not making it to like, if they win the first round and get bounced in the second, but if they're playing a team like Philly or if they're playing a very good team like Brooklyn, is that really considered a significant drop-off? I don't think so. I kind of have to disagree with this. This is also coming from a from a Brooklyn Nets fan page, so like they just want to see the Bucks fans struggle because they're salty that they got beat. Kevin Porter Jr., most improved player. I think he's going to be in that conversation 1,000%. I just got an alert on my phone. I think Kevin Porter Jr., he's a great scoring guard. I think he's going to be phenomenal next to Jalen Green. And I see him in the MIP conversation next to some of those guys, but I still think Michael Porter Jr. is going to win that award. Karl-Anthony Towns requests a trade after 5.5 years of being at the bottom of the barrel. I could see it happening. I think the Timberwolves, if they're not a playoff contending team for the first half of the season, and I think they will be a playoff contending team, or at least a play-in caliber team. I think if they're in the bottom 13, 14, or 15 in the Western Conference with the Spurs and the Thunder, I don't know, man. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to request a trade. Where do I think he's going to request a trade to? I think another Western Conference team, definitely. I could see a team like, in all honesty, no bias here, I could see a team like OKC just being like, hey, we got picks. We got young players. Give me Karl-Anthony Towns. I want to contend again. Let's get that rebuild going. You know what I mean? But I could definitely see Karl-Anthony Towns requesting a trade if Minnesota's just awful this season. This guy has 2. Maxi Mania. If Tyrese Maxey gets the starting role when Ben Simmons gets traded, I'm just going to stop there. I don't think Ben Simmons gets traded. We're going to move on. The Hawks do not make the playoffs. I disagree. I think after making the Eastern Conference Finals, no doubt in my mind, Atlanta's going to make the playoffs next season. I don't know if they'll necessarily be another 4 or 5 seed. I think they'll definitely make the playoffs, though. Trae Young's just getting better. John Collins getting better. Clint Capella's getting better. They have great young players. No doubt in my mind that team makes the playoffs. I think there's no shot that they miss the playoffs. Clippers without Kawhi won't make the playoffs or the play-in. I disagree. So I had a burp, so that's kind of why I leaned back. I didn't want to get it all up in the mic and in your ears while you're watching this video. But the Clippers not making the playoffs is a bit disrespectful. Paul George, in my opinion, is my MVP pick for next season. I said it. Paul George is going to be MVP in the 2021-2022 NBA season. The Clippers are going to make the playoffs. Paul George is going to put up 50, 40, 90 S numbers. Great efficiency, great scoring. He's going to lead that team to a playoff spot. That's my bold prediction. That was my NBA hot take for this next season. Let me know what you think. Matisse Thybulle wins Defensive Player of the Year. I just don't think guards necessarily get the respect that they should. It's always going to be a big man or a wing. I think Matisse Thybulle is going to be an All-NBA first-team guy next season, but I don't think Defensive Player of the Year necessarily is a real possibility for a guy like Matisse Thybulle. I think he doesn't put up great. He puts up. You have to really watch Matisse Thybulle to appreciate his game. He may not show up every night in the defensive box score, but I think that has a real reason why. Like, a lot of people will look at Matisse Thybulle and be like, he's only averaging 1 steal a game. Why is he so good at deep? Or how is he so good at defense? Because you have to watch this game. This dude's a pest. He just gets in between people, shuffling shoulders on, diving for a loose ball, swatting. Like, there's so much tip balls don't go in the box score. Like, tip passes don't go in the box score. Like, getting around the screen and forcing a defender into a terrible shot, that doesn't go in the box score. But I think Matisse Thybulle is going to be a great defensive player once again. He's going to be a great defensive player the rest of his career. I just don't know if he's going to win a Defensive Player of the Year next season. Biased hot take, at least 3 of the 4 Rockets rookies make an all-rookie first team, or all-rookie team, not first team. I'm going to have to disagree. I think 2 of them, at least. Jalen Green's a lock for either the first or second team. I think he'll be a first team player. I think he's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. It's going to be number 1 option, most likely. The only other guy, I don't think Josh Christopher is going to make a all-rookie team. The only other scenarios where I see a big man is either Usman Garuba or Alperen Sengun, because there's not a lot of great big men that were drafted too high. Obviously, Evan Mobley's probably going to be a lock for that center on the first team. Now, for a big man on that team, but Sengun might get some PT off the bench, and maybe if one of those guys gets hurt, Sengun just comes in and puts up great numbers. I think he could be a guy that puts up 10 and 10 off the bench on super good efficiency, knocked down a couple of free throws a night. But you know what? I'm going to disagree just because it says 3 or 4. I'm going to say 2. Sengun and Jalen Green are going to make the rookie teams next season. And finally, my hot take, Paul George will win MVP. I think it's going to happen. You heard my reasoning before. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. Leave it a like. Also, I made an Instagram. It's Zeals OKC. The link will be down in the description. I also have a Twitter if you guys didn't know. It's also Zeals OKC. But if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like. We'll see how good this video comes out on my computer, because on the little phone screen, it looks like it's good quality. I also have the I didn't realize I had the mic super close this whole time. We've been recording for 23 minutes, so a nice little lengthy video for you guys. If you enjoyed it, leave it a like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.